Today, we'll begin by meeting a parent, Nathan. Nathan is non-binary, and like so many people of the non-binary community, Nathan feels compelled to educate the rest of us. Now, it's still June, so it's still Pride Month, but this year it's been so subdued. I haven't seen rainbows plastered over everything. Companies haven't been changing their logos on X. And I've heard from countless homosexual and bisexual people who've abandoned Pride since it got hijacked by identity politics. By the hardcore trans and non-binary types, like our new friend, Nathan.
I'm a non-binary parent, and this one's for the straight and cis people. Hi, I'm Nathan, and I'm a queer parent. And while I'm fortunate to have built a little community of queer people, I know not all of you are. And I know it can be confusing to see someone who doesn't fit the usual molds. So this is what my gender means. Gender itself is a social construct. It's all of the expectations we have, both for physical appearance and the way we act, depending on the labels that people use. But gender identity is your internal experience of gender, and for me it's never quite fit the social roles of man or woman. And in fact, most times it feels like I don't have a gender at all. So I label myself non-binary, which just means I'm outside of the traditional definitions.
Okay, is it only me that thinks Nathan isn't putting in much effort? He just looks like a slightly effeminate man whose wife is clearly having an affair, and I'm sick to death of hearing that gender is a social construct. Until the early 2000s, the terms sex and gender were used interchangeably. But just like the Pride movement has been hijacked, that word has been hijacked. This endless word salad doesn't make any difference. Human beings are male or female, with a handful of intersex people who always get dragged into the argument against their will. He said it can be confusing to see someone who doesn't fit the usual moulds. But he just looks like an ageing emo. Or if Shaggy from Scooby-Doo had gone into mourning. He's a stay-at-home dad because insert mental illness here. That's just a man with an estranged relationship from his barber. Nathan, mate, seriously, sort your fucking hair out. And putting on women's pink trainers doesn't mean he's neither male nor female. It just means for a man, he's got small feet. And he said he doesn't feel like he has a gender. Nathan, when did that start? I'm guessing it's when you went on the antidepressants, because some happy tablets have really weird side effects, such as feeling numb, feeling virtually nothing, being unable to lose weight or achieve orgasm. And I find that confusing because who thinks that will cheer them up?
Of man and woman. And there's a whole host of pronouns non-binary people use, or sometimes none at all, but for me, it's they and them. And since I'm not the gender I was assigned at birth, which is male, I'm technically transgender, but not all non-binary people claim that term. Many non-binary people choose to present androgynously, and I've definitely made some choices to move in that direction, even though I still present mostly masculine. At the end of the day, there's no one-size-fits-all for any gender label, but these are just the things that make the most sense to me with the way I've experienced gender in my 28 years of life. So at the end of the day, I'm just a person, a parent, and a spouse.
And we've got to the pronouns. There's a shock. And like every attention-seeking non-binary type, Nathan will use any pronouns except those that apply to him. He says he isn't the gender he was assigned at birth. Mate, you are male. And gender is not assigned at birth. All human embryos are female. If you're a gentleman watching this, if you've ever wondered what that line is that runs up the middle of your ball sack, that's where your vagina used to be. Every day's a school day. Gender is assigned at conception, not birth. It happens shortly after a gentleman has fired his custard cannon into the lady's shame cave. Shockingly, I'm not a doctor. And, I'm sorry, he cannot be non-binary and transgender. You cannot claim to be the opposite gender if you also say you don't fucking have one. And what has he actually done, aside from the trainers or sneakers if you're watching in the New World? He's put on a bracelet. Is that all it takes? If I wear a pink bracelet, am I suddenly going to think, fuck me, am I no longer a man or a woman? But the most shocking thing, he's 28 years old. Is that what being non-binary does to you? That explains why we've never seen anyone non-binary who's over 40. Now, given that that video was intended for straight cis people, of which I am one, I have now been educated. Although I confess, I'm not entirely sure what the lesson was about. Next up, we'll get more education on what to do if someone uses the wrong, or rather, technically correct pronouns.
My father still messes up my pronouns all the time, and not maliciously or for lack of trying. And I too occasionally misgender myself. Now what do you do if you happen to get someone's pronouns wrong? For a lot of people, it's actually worse to make an apology and ask for their forgiveness. Best thing you can do if you make a mistake is to quickly correct yourself and move on. And the thing that will help you get someone's pronouns consistently correct is to practice. And always make the effort to correct yourself when you're wrong, and to correct those around you when they are wrong too.
I think it's admirable that a person who, in my opinion, is an ugly fat bloke has taken the time and effort to transform himself into an ugly fat bloke who looks a bit like a woman. So, the key when making a mistake is to correct yourself and move on. So, rather than going, what the fuck is he trying to be, is now, what the fuck are they trying to be? Much better. And practice is key. I'll remember that, so next time I'm out, and I see one of them out in the wild, as it were, waddling down the street with their pronoun badges and their lanyards, I'll walk up next to them and just go, they, them, they, them, they, them, they, them, they, them. Because I'm sure that will be endearing. And correct others around you. Now, a word of advice for anyone watching from outside of the UK. Should you come to Britain, only correct other people should you wish your nose to be permanently off to one side and you're tired of having your teeth. Like I said, it's Pride Month and I've been a gay rights advocate for years. No one gets to pick their sexuality, so no one should be judged by it. Yet, in my experience, very few homosexual or bisexual people act like this because their sexuality is just part of their personality. Whereas, for hardcore trans and most non-binary people, it's their entire identity. Other than pronouns, they've got nothing else. I'll try and demonstrate in a mock interview. Hi, my name's Boiler. I'm non-binary. Nice to meet you, Boiler. Tell me more about yourself. I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, them. That's all I've got. So I hope we've all learned something today. We've learned that Nathan's other half is about to run off with her fitness instructor, and you can indeed put lipstick on a pig. Anyway, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please do like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you could like, comment or share the video, that really helps with the algorithm. If you would like to support me in making these videos, there's links in the description to buy me a coffee and to my Patreon. And as ever, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Here's a fun game. How many times am I going to walk past this tree today? Because there's only about 15-20 feet where I'm out of the wind. Is it just me that thinks Nathan isn't making much of an effort? And his other half is having to go out a bit of fucked it. Is it just me that thinks Nathan isn't making much of an effort? That he's a stay-at-home dad? And his other half has to go to work because no one will employ him? Because he would bore his co-workers to death? No, that many gays, lesbians and bisexual people who've turned their back on Pride since it got hijacked by identity politics. Bollocks. Nathan, what is the actual lesson you were trying to teach us? As a straight, cis, white man, I fucking hate that term, cis. What knowledge have you imparted? What have I learned other than you're a little bit mad? Oh, my pronouns are they, them. My pronouns are fucking off. I guess I really need to get to the barber. And to dye this black once again. That tree's behind me, the video's done. Yay!